Welcome to the High School Football Playoff Show here on Sports Source. I'm your host, Jackson Rowland, alongside our team of Sports Source analysts that will join us throughout tonight's show. Tonight, we're featuring 4 local teams as they battle it out for a chance to advance to the next round in the GHSA playoffs. First up, we have the North Oconee Titans. The Titans have been dominant all year and are looking to return to the state semifinals. They have plenty of talent to get the title game and are easily a favorite to do so. Next, we have the Oconee County Warriors, a well-rounded team that is capable really of beating anybody. We'll also take a look at the Athens Academy Spartans, a serious contender with a lot of experience in the playoffs. And finally, the Prince Avenue Christian Wolverines, the defending state champions, who are looking to repeat. The Sports Source High School Football Playoff Show starts after this short break. And welcome back as we now break down our first matchup of the night. The North Oconee Titans hosting Pace Academy Knights tomorrow and starting a much anticipated playoff run. The Titans remain undefeated, but the Knights are looking to change that. I'm now joined by Cruz, who has followed the Titans all season. What can we expect from this North Oconee team, Rafa?
Jackson, this is a team we've looked at as a state championship contender all season long, despite losing 3 of their best players from last year. North Oconee has certainly proved to be one of the top teams in 4A with another undefeated regular season record. And the Titans are heading into this postseason with a vengeance after losing in the state semifinals the past 2 seasons. And this team is built by a senior class that has experienced those Final Four losses firsthand. These Titans are battle-tested, they are disciplined, and they are hungry. Most importantly, they play as one cohesive unit. There aren't any overwhelming egos despite the superstar talent on this roster, and this shows you the leadership and selflessness in the locker room. And because the Titans went 10-0 this season, they've earned the opportunity to begin this state championship run hosting at home in front of the North Oconee faithful.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. They do a really good job of showing out every time, and it's been fun. You know, it's going to be weird on Saturday, 1:30. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but I know everybody's going to come out. They're going to be excited, and it's going to be pumping.
Just like Max said, the Titans are taking on a Pace Academy team this Saturday that currently sits at 5-5, but they know their regular season record is a little bit deceiving and doesn't tell the entire story. Coach Arndt said the Knights have played many formidable opponents this season, including Lovett and GAC. They also present a lot of issues with their size and their speed. They have several players with Power 5 offers, similar to the Titans.
And hard to think that the Titans won't be productive on offense as usual, but I think the defense is what has to be their X factor in this game, Rafa, and throughout the playoffs. They've been so close to that title game before. Rafa, what's their mentality heading into this postseason?
Well, first of all, Jackson, I agree with you. Their defense is the X factor. They're very gap disciplined up front in the run game, and their strength is the secondary with guys like Brooks Thompson, Trey Lenhart, and Damani Taylor on the back end of that defense. But when we're evaluating North Oconee as a whole, we know their recent success in the past couple seasons, right? They've dominated opponents so far this season as well. Now listen to this. They're currently outscoring opponents on average 46-7 per game. That's unheard of. But Max Wilson says none of that matters right now if we don't take care of business day after day, especially if we don't do what we need to do in the weight room, watching film, and on the practice field. Coach Arndt added that it could be very easy for this team to look back in the past with the 2 straight Final Four appearances or look too far ahead to the state championship. But the biggest challenge for this program is to focus on what's in front of them right now.
That is the challenge. I mean, that to eliminate distractions, try to eliminate stressors, things that they go through every day that just add layers onto what you're trying to do. That it's really, really difficult. It takes a very mature group. That's the one thing about this team is there's so much experience. Guys that have played so many snaps, especially this time of year. So you're leaning on that experience and their ability to eliminate distractions and focus on what's important, and understand that this is a 5-week stretch. This is going to end at some point in the next 5 weeks, whether it's this week or in 5 weeks from now. So the more we can eliminate and focus on those things that we know are going to carry us through from week to week to week, the further we're going to be able to go.
Jackson, I can't emphasize this enough. Everybody in the Athens area, including you and me, know how talented and potent this North Oconee team is. And they have the coaching staff to come up with a great game plan on both sides of the ball week to week. They've mentioned all year long that their biggest opponents are not the guys on the other sidelines, but themselves. If they're able to ignore the outside noise and keep the main thing, we could see the Titans hoist the state championship trophy in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And man, wouldn't that be a sight to see? And Jackson, you know what time it is.
That's right. Get you some has been the theme all season long, and I've said all season long that the Titans are my favorite to be in the bins. But we're going to take a short break before we return with the rest of this week's games here on Sports Source. And welcome back to Sports Source, where I'm now joined by Trevyn Gray to discuss Oconee County's playoff game against Douglas High School happening tonight. But first, Trey, I understand that the Oconee County volleyball team has made some noise this season.
Oh yeah, Jackson. It was another big year for Oconee County as the Warriors made it all the way to the state championship. But they ended up losing in the finals once again, but this time around to Sandy Creek. However, Oconee did have a successful season, finishing 37-13, going undefeated in the region, and their 5 all-region players led them to all of this success, including Isabel Miller, who recently committed to Emmanuel to continue her volleyball career.
And certainly a talented group, but we'll pivot back to football. Trey, what has made the Warriors football team so special this year?
Well, yeah, so Oconee hit its stride at the right part of the season. They came away with some big wins against Monroe area, Keeban Christian, as well as barely losing by a late prayer touchdown to former #1 ranked Stevens County. They turned a 1-4 season into a 4-6 season, and they host the playoff game. But how they do that, you ask? It's all about the offense, baby. The big three of the Warriors' offense consists of senior Mac Ricks, junior receiver James Holland, and junior quarterback Titus Watkins. They have kicked it into overdrive in the second half of the season and have led Oconee County to the postseason.
No doubt, and Oconee is well coached by Coach Ben Hall and is certainly finding an offensive rhythm. Tonight they face a talented 6-4 Douglas High School team that has a few prospects, Trey. What makes Douglas a threat?
Well, Douglas features Jonte Gilbert, a 4-star safety that only recently decommitted from Ohio State back in July. While we don't know what he's planning for college, we do know what he's doing currently in high school. He's doing it all for the Astros on both sides of the ball. Offensively, he's 4th in rushing and receiving yards on the team. Defensively, he's 5th on the team in tackles and even has a few tackles for loss and an interception.
And his stats are certainly notable, Trey, but Oconee County's Titus Watkins and Mac Ricks, they spoke with us on just how good that junior athlete is. Let's take a look.
Just knowing where he's at, we got to be smart with the ball, and me too. I got to be smart when I'm throwing and knowing where he's at just to kind of work around it, but also, just perform well.
He's a stud. Dude is really good. He kind of reminds me of the corner we played last year from Cedar Grove, but we've played a lot of great players here in my 4 years, and we've had a lot of great players here. And he kind of reminds me of having a guard, Jake Johnson, a couple years ago, or West, or someone like that was just really fast and could go get the ball. But that's kind of he is. He's just a playmaker, and if the ball's in his area, he's going to go get it. So we just always got to be conscious of where he is on the field and try to get over the top and bring him down as a team as much as possible.
So we know Gilbert's a force out there, but he's not the only one playing big for Douglas. Quarterback John Wilson has thrown for nearly 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns with only 5 interceptions. Sophomore Andrico Griggs leads the team with tackles with 61. Douglas definitely has some guys over there.
And no doubt about that, Trey, but Douglas has all the right pieces. So let's pivot back to Oconee County. What are some of the keys that Oconee needs to win this game?
So we just talked about the Astros quarterback Wilson, and it's going to be important for the Warriors to slow down that passing game. Explosive plays typically make the difference in games like this. But another key, though, they have to play strong, particularly in the run game. Oconee County has shown that they can pass and they can run depending on what they've been given by the other team. The Douglas secondary will be looking to take away that passing game. So the Warriors may have to play another one of those ground and pound style games like they did against the Monroe area to pull out the win behind Caden Wood, Watkins, and the guy we're about to hear from in just a moment.
And certainly, Trey, Mac Ricks had his own key for the team to follow up to win this game at home. Ricks has a ton of playoff experience himself after starting 4 playoff games last year, and he had this to say about the Warriors' key to victory. Let's take a look.
Let's make a run. Last year no one thought we were going to make a run, and we did it, and we had an even harder way last year. We had 4 straight road games, actually, I think we're in a perfect position to do that again this year. Douglas is a great team, and then we got better teams lined up after that too. But we're in a great position to make a run, and we've done it before, and now we get a home game. So it's kind of like a little treat that they threw us, being the 2 seed. I wish it could have been the 1, but it happens. But we got a home game, and let's make a run. We know how to do it. We know how to win playoff games, and let's go a long way.
So Trey, with all of this said and out on the table, what are your predictions for tonight's game?
Well, this one's kind of a hard one to pick, honestly. If you asked me a few weeks ago, I would have almost certainly picked Douglas. Oconee's effort against Stevens somewhat changed my opinion of that team. But even so, Douglas really isn't your typical 3 seed. It's in a region with Cedar Grove and Sandy Creek, 2 of the toughest teams in all of 3A. So all things considered, I think I still lean towards Douglas with the road upset, but I think with this being played in the home of the Warriors rather, it could go either way.
It certainly will be a close game and one to watch tonight. But we'll be back with more matchups after this quick break here on Sports Source. Athens Academy found their stride late in this season and fought their way back to make the playoffs. This team has a very rich playoff history and a productive offense, but they'll have a tough test against a strong Columbia team in their first round tomorrow. I'm now joined by analysts Brooke, Evans, and Camille Stroud to help break this one down.
Yeah, Jackson, there's definitely huge areas of strengths for this ACAD team that we can talk about here, like their running game with the dangerous running back duo of Jamari Welch and Jeremiah Wingfield, and speedy number 3, Austin McGee. But they have some weaknesses that the team as a whole will need to address before Saturday's match if they want to advance. But let's start out with some of these strengths that we've seen throughout the season. Like I mentioned earlier, they have weapons like the running back duo Wingfield and Welch with a combined yards that total to 1,908. Then Austin McGee, super fast, a track runner, committed to Georgia State and opened up the passing game for the Spartans this past Friday, reeling in 60 receiving yards from 2 completed passes from their quarterback Johnson. And as a whole, offensively, the run game has been very productive for the Spartans all season long.
Absolutely, Brooke. Jackson, when Brooke and I headed out to practice earlier this week, Coach Alexander told us that these last 2 weeks of practice had been the best 2 weeks of practice they've had all year. When noting what a young team he leads into this first round of playoffs, he also emphasized the growth compared to the beginning of the season that he's seen among his players. Freshmen such as wide receiver Keon Stanifer, middle linebacker Jack Roberts, and sophomore defensive end Tucker Rhodes have stepped up huge time this season. The young team dominated early in the season over one of their favorite games played so far, Providence. They also said this was one of their hardest fought games. Let's take a look at what they had to say about the Providence game.
My boy Keon had the craziest kickoff return I've ever seen in my life. He took it east to west, went back and forth all the way down. It was awesome.
Our coach challenged us. The running back was the top running back in the region, and he challenged us to not let him get over like 50, and he only had 30 yards, so we played a big game.
Athens Academy certainly has weapons all over the field. However, we've seen them struggle in several big games this season. What are some weaknesses that could hurt the Spartans in their first round?
Yeah, like Camille mentioned, they're freshman players. When we spoke with Coach earlier this week, he mentioned that this could be their weakness. The future, with no doubt, is bright, but the youth on this team can be exposed at times. Without a doubt, the talent is there, but if the Spartans can't stay disciplined throughout the entirety of the game, we've seen it mitigate their talent as a whole. So really what it's going to boil down to is, can they avoid simple mistakes on special team errors, fumbles, and missed tackles? And can they close out under pressure? They've faced big teams this season and have failed to close out. That does go to say, though, 3 out of 4 of those losses this season were away game. This game against Columbia on Saturday will be on the road as well. So will these boys be able to break their mental block of being comfortable at home and get the job done tomorrow night? Coach told us if they win this game tomorrow night, we can expect to see them deep in the playoffs.
You know, Brooke, like you said, this is a very young team. They're really going to have to make mature, sound decisions tomorrow night, especially on special teams. We witnessed the Spartans kind of implode late in the third quarter over Fellowship Christian that ultimately led to a pick 6 by Josh Milholland. Special teams is really going to have to keep things clean tomorrow afternoon. Coach Alexander says the atmosphere that these past 2 weeks among his team has been nothing but enthusiastic. He was confident that his young team should be playing at the next level at this point in the season, expressing that sophomores should be playing like juniors and juniors should look like seniors. They've played enough football and he's prepared for this game.
And there are so many great athletes on this Athens Academy team. With too many to pick just one, we're going to break them down with what we call the Spartan Spin. Let's check it out.
Our first pick for the Spartan spin is Jamari Welch. He's got 107 carries, 10 touchdowns, and is a key for the Spartans' strongest strategy, which is their running game. I saw him just this past Friday break 1,000 rushing yards early on in the third quarter, which earlier that week he was at 861 yards and told Jackson that his goal for this game was to break that 1,000 yards.
Jackson, did he get it done?
He sure did. Welch is currently sitting just over 1,000 at 1,014 yards after only 107 carries this season, and not to mention 10 touchdowns as well. But let's see who's next up on the wheel.
Oh, it looks like it's Wingfield. He is our second head of that double running back duo. He's got 177 carries, 11 touchdowns, and 894 yards. Last Friday, he was a key game changer when he picked up a fumble for a 48-yard touchdown. He was successful in capitalizing on East Jackson's mistakes. And when we caught up with him after the game, his response to that play was, quote unquote, "Coach always says enthusiasm breeds enthusiasm," which we've seen throughout all these players, especially in the last few games. When we asked Wingfield about this matchup against Columbia this upcoming Saturday, he said, quote unquote, "We've got a battle. You know they've got players, but we have some players too."
Yeah, Brooke, we talked about Jamari Welch, and now we're breaking down the other dangerous talent in this duo. The two led the team in rushing yards last Friday over East Jackson, securing their spot in the first-round playoffs tonight. Wingfield with 161, and like we said, Welch with 153, both putting Spartan points on the board. Wingfield is definitely one the Eagles need to keep their eye on tomorrow night. The junior running back has rushed 100 or more yards in the past 3 matchups.
And certainly a dangerous duo from that Spartan backfield, but we've got one more spin left, so let's find out who it is.
Oh, it looks like it's going to be senior Noah Pryor. Noah Pryor is committed to Navy. He's had offers from Yale, Richmond, and Army. He impresses not only with his size, but his blocking and can make plays in space. Also is a great route runner as a tight end. Actually, when we caught up with him this past week, he told us that this year he's not getting a ton of catches because he's helping out on that offensive line, defending and providing some protection to their quarterback, Johnson.
And if you've been following our show this season, our last studio show was actually at Athens Academy's win over East Jackson in order to punch their ticket to the playoffs. After the game, though, the players revealed their big secret to success was Mama's cooking.
Hams, macaroni and cheese, cornbread with hot sauce on it, and collard greens.
Fried turkey, gotta have it. Candy yams, collard greens, dressing, and her red velvet.
Then we got turkey, chicken, and macaroni and cheese on one plate. You eat that up, and then you got some lemonade or some juice on the side with a big cup, and you drink that.
So what's
Sweet potato souffle with the marshmallows on top, and then mac and cheese, close second. But yeah, I like the sweet potatoes.
Honestly, probably fried turkey. Mac and cheese has got to be on time there. The stuffing, let's see here. Yeah, that's probably it. Those are probably like my 3 main. Yeah.
Turkey, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, mashed potatoes, green bean.
The dressing, double eggs, collard greens, fried chicken, what else? You got to have a pecan pie.
We've been able to cover 3 Spartan games this season, and I gotta tell you, these boys like to eat. Their success is fueled by their mama's cooking. I know they've got to be pretty excited about the holiday festivities that are coming up.
Oh yeah, their moms are their #1 fans. They stay to the very end of the game, no matter the weather, no matter the score. And after a long game of these boys playing both sides of the ball, they are hungry for some of Mom's home cooking. So for our last Friday nights in Athens, before we're off for Thanksgiving, we decided to get to know these boys' favorite turkey dish.
And a shout out to all the moms feeding our high school athletes everywhere. But we'll be right back with more Sports Source after the break. And welcome back for our last matchup of the show. Prince Avenue Christian is following a state championship season, 2 of those that is, and there's a lot of pressure on them to defend that title. However, Athens Christian forfeiting tonight's game gives the Wolverines a clear head start. Joining me now are Sports Source analyst Ruth Riggins and Hamilton Culpepper. What's the update from Prince Avenue, guys?
Yeah, like you said, defending state champions Prince Avenue were favored by 63 points against Athens Christian this week, but the Eagles decided to forfeit the playoff game. Athens Christian finished the regular season 0-10, but qualified for the playoffs due to their 4-team region. The school cited safety reasons for the forfeit. Athens Christian Max Prep roster showed 23 players, 7 of which are freshmen. Prince Avenue, on the other hand, is a powerhouse and is ranked #1 in their division. The forfeit is a disappointing end to the season for Athens Christian, but is understandable given the team's small roster and the fact that they were facing the defending state champions. The Aaron Philo effect is real.
Yeah, we talked to Aaron Philo earlier this week about how the forfeiture is a little bit of a momentum killer, but it's also time for his guys to rest up and get those minor injuries healed. Now, Prince Avenue's Aaron Philo is just 1,445 yards behind Trevor Lawrence's state career passing record. He has 12,457 yards on the year to Lawrence's 13,902. Philo needed to average 289.2 yards over the next 5 games, but because of the forfeit, he now needs to average 361.3 yards per game over the next 4 games.
What a season it's been for Aaron Philo. We caught up with the Georgia Tech commit this week, and he actually had the chance to break down a few plays for us for what goes through his head when he's making plays in their games.
So, this first play right here, I don't remember exactly what concept we had right here, but as you can see, check my drop. My eyes are downfield, having to move in the pocket a little bit, but keep my eyes downfield. We get a dude coming across the field right here, so I'm kind of just waiting for him to cross that linebacker to find that hole where I can fit it into. So, he crossed the linebacker, fit it right in that tight window, and ended up working out. All right, second play. This corner was pressed to the boundary right here, and, I like my matchup. So I look right, and then I come back left, and I see he's got him beat, but there's a safety coming over the top to help. So I got to put this one kind of back shoulder ball. So let it go. It's kind of back shoulder to the pylon, and receiver makes a great catch, and it worked out for us. So, yeah, this is kind of like a bootleg right here. So I'm riding the jet, and I was looking to give it to the back right away, but he didn't have his eyes around. So I make this guy miss. Like pump fake, make the guy miss, and I see some space out to the left. So start running, and I see that guy out of my the side of my eye. So I make a little move. We got to get the first down. So go get the first down and get out of bounds. So I saw the safety rolled all the way over. So I knew I had CJ one-on-one, and we had him on a post right here. So I knew that I would let him win right there and then just put it on his body where he can catch it and make a play after he catches it.
Philo is obviously the commander and leader of this team, but the guys around him make his job easier. From his offensive line to C.J. Dockery at receiver, Connor Cosby, and Peyton Talmadge as a two-headed rushing monster. But a huge year from Hudson Hill, the freshman, has been a kickstart of it all, as he is just a freshman, but he's taken on this huge role as an offensive weapon for the Wolverines.
Yeah, what an incredible season it's been so far for the Wolverines, and especially Hudson Hill. The freshman has 812 receiving yards so far, 12 receiving touchdowns, and leads the team, averaging 81.2 yards per game, passing the previous leader, C.J. Dockery.
Now, this Wolverines team is dangerous. They're a fun team to watch, and it's a shame we don't get to see them this Friday. But we're looking forward to seeing them chase that crown of a state title yet again.
Despite their recent success, the GHSA has approved Prince Avenue's move to 2A next season. I don't believe this will set the Wolverines back in any way. In fact, they recently defeated Monroe area, a AAA school, by a score of 45-17. Hammy, what are your thoughts on this move?
Like you said, Anna Ruth, I don't think they're going to take any steps back. Their opponents have been from classifications much larger than theirs. The Monroe area win proved that this small private school can play with the big dogs.
Absolutely, guys, and thank you for breaking that game down for us. Prince Avenue has a strong chance of winning their 3rd consecutive state championship. What do you think it would take for the Wolverines to have a three-peat?
I believe that staying healthy will be essential to Prince Avenue's quest for a 3rd consecutive state champion. The Wolverines lack depth at some positions, particularly running back behind Cosby, and could be vulnerable to injuries.
Yeah, the Wolverines are coming off a state championship season, like we've said, and there's a lot of pressure on them to repeat. This pressure could affect their performance on the field, but Coach Vandegrift has acknowledged this pressure, but he has also expressed the team's confidence in their ability to handle it. He has said that the Wolverines are focused on one game at a time and that they are not worried about the pressure to repeat. On offense, like we've said, the Wolverines are led by quarterback Aaron Philo, who is one of the top players in the state. Philo has a strong arm, is a good athlete, and he will have a number of talented weapons to work with on the field.
No doubt. And the Wolverines are off this week, but they will play the winner of Pepperell High School or Mount Vernon High School at home next week, depending on who wins that game. But we'll be back with more matchups and analysis after a quick break right here on Sports Source. The road to a state championship title begins tonight for each of these teams. However, several state champions in other fall sports have already been crowned in the Athens area. Firstly, the Athens Academy girls cross country team won the 2A state championship for their 4th state title in the team's history. Not only did the Spartans take the team victory, but the junior Maya Davis won the individual title for Athens Academy with a 19-minute and 15-second run time crossing the finish line. She was joined by 3 of her other teammates who finished in the top 20 and helped the Spartans beat a 26-team field to bring home the gold. On the other side of town in Watkinsville, the Oconee County boys cross country team went back-to-back, winning their 2nd consecutive 3A state championship. The senior Cooper Timberman, who finished 2nd last season, won the individual title with a 15-minute and 50-second run time to win gold. The Warriors won in a dominating fashion as well, finishing 60 points ahead of the 2nd-place team in Lumpkin County. The Warriors also had 5 runners that finished inside the top 20, bringing another trophy home to Watkinsville. And last but certainly not least, Prince Avenue Christian won their first ever softball state championship in Single A Division I after an undefeated regular season with a 30-0 perfect record. However, they did lose in the second round of the playoffs by 1 run to the defending champions Heard County, but the team then battled back to win the program's first ever state title. Several Prince Avenue seniors signed their letter of intent to play at the collegiate level just yesterday. This includes Audrey Vandegrift, who signed to the University of Alabama and is daughter of Prince Avenue's head football coach, Greg Vandegrift. There's been plenty of success in the area this fall, but we'll be right back to wrap up our show after this short break here on Sports Source. The playoffs are just beginning, but we are coming to a close here at the studio. That is all for tonight's show. Of course, thank you for joining us tonight and following along with us all season. And thank you to all of the student athletes, coaches, and parents who made covering the Friday Night Lights so special. We've had a lot of fun this season, highlighting some of the top talent and teams in our area. However, this is our last show of the year here from the Carmical Sports Media Institute. But we'll see you next semester for more episodes of Sports Source.